The alarm sounded across the United Nations Defense Fleet headquarters at 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Captain Emma Cooper rushed into the command center, her uniform hastily buttoned. The giant screen showed something she had never seen before. A massive ship, nearly the size of a small city, tumbling through space toward Earth's orbit. "Report," she ordered, taking her place at the command station. Lieutenant David Wilson looked up from his console, his face pale under the blue light of the screens. "Ma'am, the object entered our solar system 20 minutes ago. It's not using any known propulsion system, and it's broadcasting on all frequencies." "Let's hear it," Emma said, gripping the edge of her console. The sound that filled the command center made everyone's blood run cold. It wasn't the mechanical precision of a recorded message, but rather the panicked voices of multiple beings speaking over each other. Through the chaos, a single word kept repeating: "Help." John Martinez, their best diplomatic officer, stepped forward. His dark eyes were fixed on the translation scrolling across his tablet. "Captain, they're refugees. They're begging for protection." Emma straightened her back. Humanity had prepared for first contact for decades, but not like this. Not with aliens fleeing in terror from something unknown. "Get me a direct channel," she ordered. Within moments, the main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of the alien vessel. The beings on screen looked almost like tall, slender deer walking on two legs, their large eyes filled with fear. One of them stepped forward, its silvery fur matted with what looked like sweat. "We are the last survivors of the Third Fleet of the Nexus Alliance." It spoke through the translator. "Please, you must help us. It's coming." Emma kept her voice steady. "I am Captain Emma Cooper of Earth's Defense Fleet. What's coming?" The alien's multiple pupils dilated in fear. "The void. It has consumed thousands of worlds. Our mighty alliance, our technology. Nothing could stop it. We fled, but it follows. Always it follows." In the next hour, the refugee ship was escorted into Earth's orbit. Emma watched from the observation deck of her flagship as smaller vessels began emergency repairs on the damaged alien craft. She had never seen a ship so large, yet its hull showed marks of battle that made her stomach turn. Whatever had attacked them had torn through armor that was far more advanced than anything humanity had developed. Dr. Rachel Stevens, their xenobiologist, worked quickly to set up quarantine protocols as the first refugees were brought aboard the medical station. "They're in shock," she reported to Emma. "Whatever they saw, it broke them. These beings were part of an alliance that spanned galaxies, Captain, and now they're running scared from something that destroyed it all." The refugee commander, who called himself First Speaker, shared their data with Earth's military council. The holographic display showed system after system going dark, civilizations with technology far beyond Earth's falling silent in days. "It begins with darkness," First Speaker explained, his voice trembling. "Then the stars start to vanish. When it finally arrives, it's like reality itself is being unmade. We thought we could fight it. We were wrong. So very wrong." Emma studied the tactical displays, watching the pattern of destruction. Something cold settled in her chest. Not fear, but determination. "How long?" she asked. 6 months, First Speaker replied. "Maybe less. You must prepare to evacuate your world. There is no other way." Emma looked at the image of Earth floating peacefully on her display screen. 6 months to prepare for something that had destroyed civilizations thousands of years more advanced than humanity. 6 months to face what appeared to be the end of everything. She straightened her uniform and turned to First Speaker. "With all due respect, there's something you need to understand about humans. We don't run, not from anything." The alien's expression showed confusion, then disbelief. "You cannot fight the void. None can." "Watch us," Emma replied, pressing the comm button. "This is Captain Cooper to all Earth defense stations. As of this moment, we are at Defense Condition 1. Begin immediate preparations for planetary defense. We're about to teach this void a lesson about humanity. First speaker watched in amazement as the humans burst into action, their faces showing not fear, but resolve. For the first time since the void appeared, he felt something he had almost forgotten: hope. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity had no intention of running. Lieutenant David Wilson stared at his screen until his eyes burned. For 3 days straight, he had been studying the data from the refugee ship. Each new piece of information made his heart sink deeper, but he refused to stop. The fate of Earth might depend on understanding what they were up against. "You need to sleep," Dr. Rachel Stevens said, placing a cup of coffee beside him. The xenobiologists have been working just as hard, trying to help the traumatized aliens. "Can't," David replied, taking the sip. "Look at this pattern, Rachel. The void didn't just destroy these civilizations. It ate them. Not a single survivor from most worlds. No ruins, no debris, just nothing." The main screen showed a map of fallen civilizations, hundreds of dots, each representing billions of lives, gone dark one by one. Some had been far more advanced than humanity, with technology that seemed like magic. None had lasted more than a few days against the void. First speaker entered the room, his hooved feet making soft clicks on the floor. Despite the best care Earth could offer, he still looked haunted. "You are studying our failures," he said quietly. "We're studying your experiences," Rachel corrected him gently. "Every piece of information helps." The alien leader moved to the screen, his long fingers touching one of the dark spots. This was Centauri Prime. They had ships that could fold space, cities that floated in the sky. When the void came, their weapons didn't even slow it down. 10 billion lives, gone in 6 hours. David zoomed in on the data. "But look here, some of their defensive strategies did better than others. Some bought more time." "Time for what?" First speaker asked bitterly. "To watch hope die." Before either human could answer, Captain Emma Cooper walked in. She had dark circles under her eyes, but her stance was straight and strong. "Time to fight back," she said firmly. "Show me what you found." David pulled up his analysis. "The void seems to act like a living thing. It grows, it hunts, it adapts. But that means it must have weaknesses. Everything that lives has weaknesses. It also seems to target the most advanced technology first," Rachel added. "The civilizations that relied heavily on complex systems fell faster than the others." Emma nodded slowly. "So simpler might be better. Back to basics." First speaker looked from one human to another in confusion. "You still think you can fight?" "After seeing all this." "We're not just going to fight," Emma said, her voice hard with determination. "We're going to win. Because we have something none of those other civilizations had." "What's that?" First speaker asked. "We're human," David answered, standing up from his station. "And humans are too stubborn to know when they're beaten." The meeting with Earth's military leaders started an hour later. Generals and admirals from every nation watched in silence as David presented the data. When he finished, the room stayed quiet for a long moment. Admiral Kate Foster was the first to speak. "So that's what we're up against. The end of everything." "Not everything," Emma said firmly. "Not Earth, not humanity." "The refugees think we should run," David added. "They say there might be galaxies the void hasn't reached yet." "Run where?" Admiral Foster asked, her voice sharp. "This is our home, our world. If we run, we'll never stop running." The room filled with nods of agreement. These were people who had spent their lives defending Earth. They weren't about to stop now. "Then we fight," Emma said. "But we do it smart. We have 6 months to prepare. 6 months to do what no other civilization has done: stand our ground." First speaker watched from the back of the room as the humans began to plan. They argued, they debated, but not once did anyone suggest surrender or retreat. These strange beings, so primitive compared to his people, showed no fear of what was coming. Rachel noticed him watching and walked over. "I know this must seem strange to you," she said softly. "You are either very brave or very foolish," he replied. She smiled. "Maybe both. But here's something you should understand about humans. We don't accept no-win scenarios. We rewrite the rules. We find a way. Always." As the planning continued, David's computers kept tracking the Void's approach. Somewhere out in the darkness between the stars, humanity's greatest challenge was coming. But for the first time since the Void appeared, someone was waiting for it. Someone was ready to fight back. Earth was about to show the universe what humanity was made of. Admiral Kate Foster called it Project Bulwark, and it changed Earth forever. Within days of the announcement, every factory on the planet switched to making weapons and defenses. Schools became training centers. Office workers learned combat skills. The whole world moved with one purpose: to fight the Void. Robert Clark stood in his workshop at NASA, surrounded by alien technology from the refugee ship. As Earth's top engineer, he had one job: find a way to hurt something that had never been hurt before. "This might work," he muttered, connecting wires to a strange device. "If we combine their energy systems with our nuclear weapons." A loud bang made him jump. The device sparked and went dark. Another failure. Captain Emma Cooper asked from the doorway. Robert wiped grease from his hands. "Not a failure. A step forward. Each time something breaks, we learn more." Emma walked over to look at his work. The room was full of half-finished weapons and strange machines. Some glowed with alien power. Others looked like normal Earth weapons with odd additions. "We have 4 months left," she said quietly. "We'll be ready," Robert replied, already reaching for more tools. "The refugees think their technology is better than ours. Maybe it is, but they never tried mixing it with good old human stubbornness." Outside, the sky was full of construction ships. Huge defense platforms were being built in orbit. On the ground, new weapon systems covered every continent. Humanity was turning Earth into a fortress. In the main training center, Lieutenant David Wilson watched soldiers learn to use new weapons. The refugee aliens worked beside them, teaching what they knew about the Void. "Faster," David called out. "The Void doesn't give second chances." First speaker stood next to him, watching the training with wide eyes. "Your people learn quickly," he said, "but the Void learns too. It adapts to every weapon used against it." "Then we'll keep changing," David replied. "That's what humans do best." In her lab, Dr. Rachel Stevens worked with both human and alien scientists. They studied every piece of data about the Void, looking for any weakness. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a screen. "The Void seems to pull back when it hits certain energy frequencies, like it feels pain." "Pain?" First speaker asked. He spent more time in the lab now, his fear slowly turning to curiosity. "We never thought. We were too busy running to study it properly." Rachel smiled. "Sometimes you have to stand your ground to see things clearly." Admiral Foster's office had become the center of Earth's defense. Maps and plans covered every wall. She worked day and night, coordinating humanity's preparation. "The outer defense line is ready," she reported to the World Council. "Mars colonies are fortified. Every ship we have is armed and waiting." "What about evacuation plans?" someone asked. The Admiral's face hardened. "There will be no evacuation. Earth is humanity's home. We either save it or we die trying." The vote was unanimous. Earth would stand and fight. In orbit, massive ships practiced battle formations. They carried weapons no human had dreamed of 6 months ago, combinations of Earth's raw power and alien science. Robert's workshop finally produced results. His new weapons could hit the Void with multiple types of energy at once. "It won't know what hit it," he said proudly. The refugees watched all this with growing amazement. They had run from the Void without trying to understand it. Humans studied it, planned for it, prepared to fight it. One evening, first speaker found Emma looking at Earth from a space station window. "My people had 10 times your technology," he said. 1,000 years more experience. Yet we ran. You choose to fight. Why? Emma thought for a moment. Because running means the void wins forever. Someone has to take a stand. Might as well be us. A warning alarm sounded through the station. On every screen, sensors showed the same thing. Strange darkness at the edge of the solar system. The void had arrived early. It's here, first speaker whispered, fear returning to his voice. But Emma smiled, fierce and ready. Good, she said. Time to show this thing what humans are made of. Throughout the solar system, humanity's defenses came alive. Weapons powered up. Ships moved into position. Earth glowed with protective shields. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin. Commander Peter Hayes stood on the bridge of his ship, the Defiant, watching the darkness spread across his screens. The Void scout forces had just crossed Neptune's orbit, moving faster than anything he'd ever seen. All crews to battle stations, he ordered, his voice steadied despite his racing heart. Remember your training. We hold the line here. Earth's outer defense fleet waited in position near Jupiter. 50 ships, each carrying weapons that mixed human and alien technology. They were humanity's first line of defense, and they were about to face something that had destroyed entire civilizations. Enemy contact in 5 minutes, his computer announced. Peter opened a channel to all ships. This is what we trained for. The Void thinks it can't be stopped. Let's prove it wrong. The first attack came without warning. Dark shapes, faster than any ship, rushed toward the human fleet. They looked like living shadows, hungry and cold. Fire, Peter ordered. The space around Jupiter lit up with energy weapons, missiles, and strange beams from Robert Clark's new weapons. The Void's forces hit the human line hard. But this time, something different happened. The shadows screamed. Direct hit, shouted Peter's weapons officer. Sir, we're hurting them. In her lab back on Earth, Dr. Lisa Wright watched the battle data with growing excitement. Look at this, she called to Rachel Stevens. The combined weapons are working. The Void can't adapt to multiple types of attacks at once. The battle raged for hours. Some human ships were lost, torn apart by the dark forces. But the Void lost more. For the first time in its existence, it was being forced back. First speaker watched from Earth's command center, his eyes wide with disbelief. Impossible, he whispered. They're actually winning. Admiral Foster allowed herself a small smile. That's the thing about humans. We don't believe in impossible. On the Defiant, Peter ordered another attack run. His ship's hull groaned under the strain, but he pushed forward. The Void's forces tried to surround them, but human pilots proved more skilled than expected. They're pulling back. Someone shouted. They're retreating. Peter didn't celebrate yet. Follow them. Don't let them regroup. The human fleet chased the shadow ships out past Jupiter's orbit. When the battle finally ended, 20 human ships had been destroyed, but the Void had lost over half its scout force. In his workshop, Robert Clark studied the battle data. The weapons worked better than expected, he told Captain Emma Cooper. But the Void will adapt. We need something stronger for the main force. Emma nodded. How long do you need? A few days. Maybe less. These results gave me some new ideas. Dr. Lisa Wright burst into the workshop, her face flushed with excitement. I found something, she said. During the battle, our sensors picked up strange readings. The Void isn't just darkness, it's alive. And where there's life, there's a way to kill it, Emma finished. First speaker joined them, looking at the data. For the first time since arriving on Earth, he stood straight and proud. My people were wrong to run, he said. We should have fought, like you do. It's not too late, Emma told him. Fight with us now. The news of humanity's victory spread across Earth. People celebrated in the streets, but the military knew this was just the beginning. The Void's main force was still coming, and it would be much stronger. Peter Hayes brought his damaged ship back to Earth for repairs. As he walked through the crowded streets, people cheered. He didn't feel like a hero. He just felt tired and ready for the next fight. "Sir," a young pilot called out. "Is it true? Can we really beat the Void?" Peter thought about the battle, about the way the Void had screamed when hit. "Yes," he said firmly. "We can beat it. Because we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every world it destroyed, for every species it forced to run. And humans, we don't run. We stand and fight." In space, the darkness gathered for its main assault. But this time, something was different. This time, someone had heard it. This time, someone was waiting, ready to fight back. And that someone was humanity. The Void's main attack began at dawn. The darkness swept past Mars like a tidal wave, bigger than anything humans had ever seen. It blotted out the stars, turning space itself into an endless black ocean. Major Brian Cooper stood in the Mars colony's control room, watching the darkness approach. "All civilians to shelter," he ordered. "Defense teams to your stations." The red plains of Mars were covered with weapon platforms and shield generators. Thousands of colonists had trained for this moment, ready to defend humanity's first colony world. "Enemy forces approaching Mars orbit," the computer announced. 5 minutes to contact." Brian opened a channel to all defenders. "Remember, we're the first line. We hold here so Earth has time to prepare. Show them what Mars is made of." The Void struck with overwhelming force. Dark tendrils smashed against Mars' shields, trying to tear them apart. The colony's weapons fired back, filling space with deadly light. Back on Earth, engineer Sarah Mills sat at the main control center for the planetary shield network. Her hands flew over the controls as she directed power where it was needed most. "Mars colony reports heavy fighting," someone announced. "They're holding, but their shields are under strain." Sarah gritted her teeth. "Divert more power to the Mars shields. We can't lose that colony." Admiral Kate Foster coordinated Earth's combined fleet from her flagship. Hundreds of ships moved in perfect formation, ready to meet the Void's attack. "All ships, battle positions," she ordered. "Remember your training. We've hurt them before. We can do it again." The battle for Mars lasted 3 hours. The colony's defenses held, but at a heavy cost. Half the weapon platforms were destroyed, and the shields flickered dangerously. Major Brian Cooper's voice crackled over the radio. "We've bloodied them, Admiral, but we can't hold much longer." "Fall back to Earth," Admiral Foster commanded. "You've done your job. Now it's our turn." As the Mars defenders retreated, Earth's fleet moved forward. The Void's forces filled space ahead of them, like a wall of living darkness. First speaker stood on the bridge of Admiral Foster's ship, watching the battle unfold. "Your people fight with such courage," he said, "even knowing what the Void can do." "That's exactly why we fight," Foster replied. "Because we know what will happen if we don't." The fleet engaged the Void head-on. Robert Clark's improved weapons tore holes in the darkness, making it scream in pain and rage. But the Void was learning, adapting to each attack. "Main formation, press the attack," Foster ordered. "Don't let them regroup." On Earth, Captain Emma Cooper coordinated the ground defenses. The planetary shields glowed as they powered up, covering the entire planet in a protective barrier. "This is what we've trained for," she told her teams. "Every drill, every practice, it all comes down to this." Sarah Mills watched her power readings carefully. Shields at maximum strength. Let them come. The Void's attack on Earth began with a force that shook the planet. Dark energy hammered against the shields, making them flare with brilliant light. Every defense weapon on Earth fired back, filling the sky with fire. In space, Admiral Foster's fleet fought desperately to keep the Void from surrounding Earth. Ships exploded in silent bursts of light, but for every human vessel lost, part of the Void was destroyed too. "We're hurting it," First speaker shouted, pointing to his screens. "Look, it's pulling back where the damage is worst." Foster nodded grimly. Keep pressing. Don't give it time to heal. On the ground, Sarah's shield network held firm. Cities across Earth watched as darkness and light battled above them. But unlike every other world, the void had attacked. Earth refused to fall. Power levels critical, Sarah reported, but the shields are holding. Emma's voice rang out across all channels. Keep fighting. We're not just defending Earth. We're defending every world that couldn't defend itself. The battle raged on, humanity standing firm against the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. For the first time in its existence, the void faced an enemy that wouldn't run, wouldn't surrender, and wouldn't give up. And slowly, incredibly, the void began to retreat. Dr. Lisa Wright hadn't slept in 3 days. She stared at her lab screens, watching the patterns in the void's energy signature. The battle outside made the whole building shake, but she barely noticed. "I've got it," she suddenly shouted, jumping to her feet. "Robert, get in here." Robert Clark ran into the lab, his clothes covered in grease from working on weapons. "What is it?" "Look at this frequency pattern." Lisa pointed to her screen. "The void isn't just one thing. It's millions of smaller parts working together. And they all connect to a central point." In the command center, Lieutenant David Wilson studied new sensor data with growing excitement. "She's right," he announced. "There's a pattern here. The void has a brain, a control center." Captain Emma Cooper called an emergency meeting. Lisa and Robert explained their discovery to the military leaders while the battle raged outside. "The resonance weapon is ready," Robert said, showing them his latest creation. "If we can get it close enough to the control center, we can disrupt the void's entire structure." "But how do we find this control center?" Admiral Foster asked. David pointed to his screens. "It has to stay in the darkest part of the void, the center of the mass. We'll need a strike team to go in." Emma stood up. "I'll lead it." First speaker stepped forward. "I will go too. My people ran from the void. Let us help end it." The plan came together quickly. While Earth's defenses kept the void busy, a small team would sneak through in a specially shielded ship. They would carry Robert's resonance weapon right into the heart of darkness. Sarah Mills worked frantically to modify a ship's shields. "This will keep the darkness out," she explained. "But only for 20 minutes. After that, 20 minutes will be enough," Emma said firmly. The strike team prepared for launch. Emma Cooper would pilot. First speaker would guide them through the void's patterns. Lisa Wright would operate the resonance weapon. 4 other volunteers completed the crew. Robert made last-minute adjustments to the weapon. "Remember," he told Lisa, "you'll only get one shot. The power cells won't last for a second try." Admiral Foster's voice came over the radio. "All ships, concentrate fire on these coordinates. Clear a path for the strike team." The battle outside reached new intensity as Earth's fleet hammered the void, creating a narrow corridor through the darkness. Emma's ship, named Hope's Light, waited for the signal. "Strike team, you are go for launch," Foster commanded. The ship shot forward into space. As soon as they entered the void, darkness pressed against their shields. The inside of the ship grew cold. "Shields holding," Sarah reported from Earth. 19 minutes remaining. They flew deeper into the void, guided by first speaker's knowledge and David's sensor data. Strange shapes moved in the darkness around them. The ship's metal creaked under the pressure. "There," first speaker pointed. "The center mass. It's different from the rest." Through their view screen, they saw it. A sphere of pure darkness, darker than the space around it. The void's brain. 15 minutes left on shields. Sarah's voice crackled through static. Lisa powered up the resonance weapon. "Ready to fire. We need to get closer." Emma pushed the ship forward, fighting against the increasing pressure. Warning lights flashed across her controls. The darkness outside seemed alive, angry. 10 minutes on shields. They were almost in range. The void's center pulsed with evil energy. Dark tentacles reached for their ship. Shields failing. Now, Emma shouted. Lisa fired the resonance weapon. A beam of pure white energy shot out, hitting the dark sphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the void screamed. The sound shook their ship, rattled their bones. The darkness around them began to break apart. The sphere in front of them cracked like glass. Get us out of here, Lisa yelled. Emma turned the ship around as the void began to collapse. All around them, the darkness was falling apart, breaking into pieces that faded away into nothing. Strike team, report. Admiral Foster's voice cut through the chaos. Emma smiled as she flew them home through the dissolving darkness. Mission accomplished, Admiral. The void is finished. For the first time in history, the void knew defeat, and humanity had delivered it. 1 month after the void's defeat, Earth's skies were clear again. Stars shone brightly where darkness had once threatened to swallow everything. Ships from across the galaxy began arriving. Survivors, refugees, and representatives from worlds that had hidden from the void. Captain Emma Cooper stood in the United Nations Assembly Hall, watching alien diplomats fill the seats. First Speaker stood beside her, wearing the new uniform of Earth's Interstellar Defense Force. They're all here because of humanity, First Speaker said quietly, because your people did what no one else dared to do. Emma smiled. We did it together. Your knowledge helped make it possible. Admiral Kate Foster took the stage to address the gathered species. Her uniform carried new medals, honors for the victory against the void. Earth welcomes you all, she began. We stand here today, not just as survivors, but as builders of a new future. The void is gone, but our work is just beginning. In the science wing, Dr. Lisa Wright and Robert Clark worked with alien scientists, studying the few remains of the void. Their research would help prevent anything like it from ever threatening the galaxy again. The resonance weapon worked better than we hoped, Robert explained to a group of visiting engineers. By targeting the control center, we didn't just hurt the void. We broke its connection to all its parts. Lieutenant David Wilson had set up a new control center, coordinating efforts to help worlds reclaim their homes. Ships carried Earth's shield technology and defense systems to planets that were starting over. Each world gets protection now, he told his team. No one stands alone anymore. Dr. Rachel Stevens worked with survivors from different species, helping them heal from their trauma. Where the void had spread fear, humanity now spread hope. It's okay to feel scared, she told her patients. But remember, you're not running anymore. You're safe. We all stand together now. In orbit, Sarah Mills supervised the construction of the new Interstellar Defense Station. It would serve as headquarters for the combined fleet, ships from Earth, and other worlds working together to protect the galaxy. Major Brian Cooper helped rebuild the Mars colony, making it bigger and stronger than before. It became a symbol of humanity's resilience, a place where different species could learn from each other. Mars taught us how to live on other worlds, he told visitors. Now we can help others do the same. First Speaker addressed his own people, who had begun returning from their long exile. We ran because we thought it was our only choice. Humanity showed us another way. They taught us that sometimes you must stand and fight, not just for yourself, but for everyone. The new Nexus Alliance formed, with Earth as a founding member. But it was different from the old one. This alliance was built on Earth's principles: courage, unity, and the willingness to stand against any threat. Emma looked out at the stars from her new ship's bridge. The Hope's Light had been rebuilt, stronger than before. It would lead Earth's first mission to help other worlds rebuild. Captain, her communications officer called. We're receiving messages from across the galaxy. They're asking for Earth's help. Tell them we're coming, Emma replied. That's what humans do. We help those who need us. Admiral Foster created the Interstellar Defense Initiative, a program to share Earth's knowledge and technology. But more importantly, to share humanity's spirit, the determination that had helped them defeat the void. We don't just teach them how to fight. she explained to the World Council. "We teach them how to stand strong, how to face their fears, how to never give up." As ships departed Earth to help rebuild the galaxy, first speaker washed with pride. His people had once run from darkness. Now, standing with humanity, they helped bring light to others. "What will you do now?" he asked Emma before her mission launched. She looked at the stars, shining bright and free. "What humanity has always done: explore, learn, protect, and make sure that nothing like the void ever threatens our galaxy again." The story of humanity's stand against the void spread across the stars. It became a legend, told on countless worlds, how one young species had faced the darkness without fear, fought when others fled, and changed the fate of the galaxy forever. Earth became known not just as the world that defeated the void, but as the world that taught the galaxy how to stand together against any threat. And that was humanity's greatest victory of all.